Hi, welcome to week 4 of this course on management concepts. In the previous videos, we have learned about the past management practices in the ancient times and also the contributions of the classical era of management. In this segment of this course, we are going to discuss about the neoclassical thought and their contributions. The learning outcomes for week 4 are designed as follows. We are going to reflect on the emergence of the neoclassical era, understand the contributions that had been done in the neoclassical era, which are the Hawthorne studies, the human relation movement, the behavioral science approach, and the social system approach. In this video, we will understand the background of the neoclassical thought, that what this era is all about and how is this different from the classical thought. To understand the emergence of the neoclassical era, it is important to reflect that in the past time practices, we have seen that the management was present in the maintenance of the political, social and economic order in the kingdom rules and the kind of laws which were being issued by their then government and rulers from time to time. And in the classical thought, we have understand the focus of rationality and the focus on efficiency, that how the output and efficiency of worker can be increased. However, there was a thought that was missing to be reflected upon, and that was the people in an organization. Now, we could say the post-industrial scenario was all about establishing the factory system. But what about the factory man? The reflection on the person performing the task and those who are the employees in an organization, their welfare and their well-being is the focus of this new school of thought, which is collectively known as the neoclassical thought. The essence of neoclassical thought can be collectively understood as the coming together of the factory management and the factory men for the development of both. And this will humanize and justify the factory age. That the kind of task and the roles and responsibilities that are defined to the people are performed by the people are also taken care of. The neoclassical thought reveals the people side of organization and identified that people are a critical resource in an organization. Let us learn some of the key highlights that we are going to reflect in detail in this video. This school believes that the key to higher productivity is efficiency and workplace harmony with supportive human relations. So the essence of this school of thought is more about the relationship between the employee and the employer and how the well-being of employees are important while we are focusing on efficiency and effectiveness in management activities. The notion of social person era was dominated by some of the social interactions among the co-workers and with their supervisors, the assumptions of the human relations at every level, which include all parties involved in the process of management activities. Hawthorne studies is a major contribution, and the concepts of the growth in the labor unions, the expansion of the industrial psychology field are all some notable events that had happened during the period of the neoclassical era. We are going to reflect on these contributions each one by one. If we see the major contributions, it is the Hawthorne studies, the relation movement, and the behavioral sciences approaches. The major contributions will be discussed with reflection to how they have been contributed and who have contributed on all of these kinds of understandings to understand these elements better. Hawthorne studies. No study in the history of management have ever received so much of publicity and the wide acceptance as the experiments conducted at the Western Electric. Western Electric was a manufacturing company that used to deal with telephones and equipments. So before these studies began, Western Electric was considered as a progressive organization and the employee morale in the organization was good. The relationship between superior subordinates was seemed to be positive and everything seemed to be normal. Even then, the organization decided to conduct certain kind of experiments so that they can check whether there is some kind of effect of illumination on the productivity of the workers. With this kind of notion, with this kind of idea, the studies began. It was a series of experiments that was conducted by the National Research Council and was later joined by Elton Mayo. However, the credit of this kind of study is credited to Elton Mayo, but he joined these studies at a very later stage not initially. It was started with a group of researchers working at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and some of the employees in an organization working at the Western Electric. So basically they were trying to trace the effect of certain workplace changes on the workers' productivity, and they started it with the illumination study and other series of experiments that we will see in a few minutes. So experiments led to the strong foundations for the human relation movements. Whatever conclusions and the results that have been derived from these series of experiments have laid strong foundations for the human relation movement, and the other contributors who contributed from the learnings of these kinds of studies have also contributed in a dimension that reflect upon the people side of organization. Let us look at the basic team that was involved in Hawthorne experiments at various stages. Charles Snow, George Pennock, Claire A. Turner, George Elton Mayo, Homer Hibager, Clarence Stoll. These were the main names that were involved in Hawthorne studies conducted through various set of experiments in various stages during a period of 8 years, and it was basically a combination of researchers from the institute and also the employees at Western Electric. The kind of experiments that were conducted were 5. It started with the illumination study. The planning of it started in the winters of 1924 and it typically ended in 1927. While the other set of experiments was the relay assembly test room, relay assembly second test room, mass interview program, and the bank wiring observation. These are the 5 set of experiments that were conducted and collectively known as the Hawthorne experiments, and not just only the illumination study. However, that was the path-breaking and the initial study that was conducted in Hawthorne experiments. So it was basically a call of a different mix of managerial skills to understand human situations, interpersonal relationships, motivation, communication, the power of supervision, team spirit, productivity, and also some human diseconomy, and also some human diseconomies like stress and fatigue. So these are certain kind of focuses that were dealt within the series of experiments, and then we are going to reflect on each one of these study, that how they went, what was the kind of experiment, who were the people involved, and what all things were being concluded in each of these, and why there was a need of another experiment when one of the experiment is giving certain kind of results. So let us see each of these experiment. The first experiment that was conducted in a series of Hawthorne studies and the path-breaking experiment was the illumination study. Before it started, the stage of when they were designing, the basic question that they want to trace in that positive scenario wherein the relationships are good, the productivity output is good in Western Electric, the employees wanted to conduct these kind of studies to understand the human behavior better. And for that they approached certain kind of researchers at the University of Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The people were involved, they were working in the engineering department, and they started with the question to understand what is the effect of illumination on workers' productivity. Now it was a collaboration of National Research Council, Committee on Industrial Lighting, which this experiment was funded by the General Electric Company. It was conducted under the direction of Professor Dougal Jackson, who was an electrical engineer professor at MIT, and some of his colleagues, namely Joseph Barker and Vannevar Bush. Thomas Edison, who invented the electric light bulb, was also the committee honorary chairman. So this team basically designed this experiment to be started at the Western Electric, and the organization also supported it and funded it so that they get to know more about how they can improve the productivity in their organization. So basically we could say that the organization is more responsive to understand the people behavior in an organization, and of course they were focusing and targeting the productivity to be improved. So they basically took an initiative along with the academia to understand these kinds of scenarios, and this kind of experiment came into being. So this was the stage of designing the experiment where they wanted to understand the effect of illumination on the workers' productivity. Some of the preparations wherein they basically started to check the lighting conditions before they conducted the real experiment. They first initially go and check the lighting conditions in the existing scenario of organization functioning. So performance was also observed in the Western punch press, coil winding and relay assembly departments to establish the initial baseline to understand that how people are performing in the existing working conditions. The level of illumination was also varied in each department to understand that the output fluctuated with the direct relation of illumination. So we could say that before conducting the experiment, they had a hypothesis in their mind to understand a positive correlation of the increment in the light effect and the productivity. The total intensity of illumination is increased, the employee productivity will increase. This is where they started to believe that this is what going to be a hypothesis to begin the experiment, and with this idea they started a study. Let's come to understand that what is this main study all about, which started in the summers of 1925 and the planning of which took place in the winters of 1924. That time they took to design the study, and basically they selected two separate groups of the coil winding operators who were selected. These coil winding operators that were selected were equal in their performances prior their selection, and they were also selected on the basis of their experience in the organization. So two similar nature of the people or a group of people have been selected for the purpose of conducting this experiment, so that both groups, both experimental groups will be similar in terms of their characteristics, in terms of their experience, in terms of their performances as well. These two groups were separated in two different buildings, and they out of which one of which is a control group, another is a variable group. In a control group, no variation of a lighting made, and while in the variable group, which was the experimental group, the lighting effects was moderated and they were sometimes increased, sometimes decreased, to check whether there is a effect of this moderation in the lighting effect on the productivity of workers. But both of the groups were separated in separate buildings, so that they will not get to know about what is happening in one group and what is happening in another group. So basically the control group was under the placebo effect of not having any variation in the lighting, and they were their performances were observed separately in both the buildings. During the experiment, the research team systematically varied the lighting in the room of the observed group, that was the experimental group, and despite of that lighting, like if the light is brighter or it is dimmer or it is like constant for a period of time, the output was generally rising. So this was the observation that they keep on making. The results of the experiment was also repeated when the output rises. Then they repeat this set of experiment, but the results were same. We could say that they kept on repeating these experiments, plus there were also two operators among of them who were studied separately by gradually reducing the illumination to the moonlight level. So these two were separately being observed, and even then their productivity output was also risen before the comparison of what they were producing earlier. So whatever the changes in illumination was happening, the results were positive in the direction of the output was rising. But Charles Snow concluded that illumination is not the answer. There may be other variables that we could say possibly are the psychology of the human behavior. So typically, however, they were seeing the positive effect of illumination and it is not affecting the performance of the people, still the people who have designed the experiment were reluctant to come to and jump to this conclusion that it is the lighting effect which is not affecting. So it is like they wanted to identify more of that in certain kind of researches. However, they abandoned this experiment in 1927 because the results were coming with a high output despite of these kinds of variations in the lighting. Now, when this kind of conclusions have been derived that lighting cannot be the only reason, there are some other reasons which need to be explored, and despite of these the performances are rising. So the psychological component exploration was something which was very curious to explore, and Homer Hibarger, he proposed to continue the experiments and designed another set of experiment which was known as the relay assembly test room experiment, wherein they tried to understand the behavior of people by making changes into certain work conditions. So after the illumination study, the second set of experiment was the relay assembly test room, which was designed for the purpose to determine the effects of working conditions on employee productivity. The participants were the original 5 relay assemblers, basically who used to do this kind of assembly function. They have to print a telegraph tape that only had 5 channels and would punch a hole in the tape, and the relay was completed and dropped down the chute. So this was a task that they were supposed to perform, and the number of people that was restricted to 5 is because the capacity of that assembler was limited to 5 only. That is why the 5 people were selected. Those who were selected, their names were Adeline Bogowitz, Irene Rebecki, Theresa Lehman, Wanda Belifus, and Anna Hogg. These were the 5 people who were selected as assemblers to perform this particular set of experiment. There were layout operator B. Stedray and observer experimenter Homer Hibarger, who has designed this experiment to identify several psychological factors that may affect on the productivity of worker. So basically, they tried to do certain kind of variations with the work conditions, and work conditions could be some rest pauses or some kind of variation in the length of the work day. The working hours will be variated in the experimental time. The company may provide certain kind of benefits, for example, free meals, and also the incentive method was changed in this scenario of experiment. So let's look at what happened in the relay assembly room test. So the health conditions of the 5 participants who were selected as the assemblers for experiment and the general weather conditions were tested. The test room temperature and humidity was taken care during the conduct of the experiment. If we try to understand the health conditions, it's basically about a monitoring of their daily sleep record or their eating orders. So it's basically not just about that what their body temperatures are and how they are feeling for the day. It is also the other orders, let us say their sleep conditions, their eating orders, and their stress anxiety levels, their kind of recreation activities in which they are involved, or their personal life situations as well. So these are the conditions were also observed while taking care of the experimental room observations, in addition to the working conditions wherein they are actually performing the task. So it is not only their personal conditions that were taken care of, but also the work conditions that were taken care of. That is one of the variation had been made. Another thing is that the assemblers were placed on a certain different incentive plan. Now if we talk about the incentive plan, their performance was tied with the group's performance, while originally they in the regular department they used to have an incentive performance plan, wherein if they perform good they will earn better. But herein in the experimental room it is based on the group's performance. So if the total performance rises, they had an opportunity to earn an extra incentive in addition to their regular salaries that they are earning in their job. Along with that, the assemblers were told to work at a comfortable pace, and by that basically they are given an opportunity of working under no supervision. So there was actually no supervisor who was supervising this kind of experiment, unlike in a regular department when they used to perform this task. Regular department scenario, there are supervisors, but in this case there is no supervisor who used to supervise what they are doing. And also they were also allowed to speak to other people whenever they wish to, and they have an opportunity to interact with the co-workers if they want to have a chat with the other people. So this was also allowed. So we could say that the assemblers were told to work at a comfort place. So we can understand that the assemblers were told to work at a comfortable pace in a manner in which the supervision control is reduced, and also it was allowed for them to have a social interaction. So in the scenario of less supervision, wherein no one is supervising, and more social interaction opportunity is something that make them comfortable. So more interaction opportunity made them more comfortable while performing the task. Also, during the initial 7 periods of the study that was started in April 1927 to January 1928, certain working conditions were also changed to determine the effect on productivity, if any, there is any change. With respect to working conditions, we should understand that certain kind of rest pauses were introduced during this period of time. Initially, they launched, some kind of 5 minutes period pauses. Let's say that 2 5 minutes period rest periods were introduced. Then it followed by 10 minutes rest pauses. Instead of 5 minutes, they increased the rest pause time period to 10 minutes. Then the duration was again reinstated to 5 minutes, but the frequency of those 5 minutes was increased. And later, some free meals were also provided by the Western employee restaurant. So we could say that there were working conditions of certain free meals, in which obviously the stress of bringing the lunches with them was reduced. If we say that more rest pauses were introduced, it is also a kind of a scenario in which the people have more opportunity to rest. And also, with the introduction of the rest pauses, it is important to understand that it will help a person to reduce their stress and fatigue. So different types of rest pauses and different types of facilities like free lunches during this initial period of April to January. And then the changes, if any, they were supposed to make during the experiment or in the work conditions, they were being discussed with these assemblers, and if any of that was not approved, they are basically discarded. And also, they were also given more opportunity to express their views and opinion about the changes that they are trying to incorporate. So in this way, they are basically being communicated what they are supposed to change. Then they are being discussed also, whether they approve it, whether they don't approve it. And also, some kind of ideas were dropped if they were not approved by the people. So it gave their kind of environment for the assemblers, that they were being heard, they were being involved into the participation of the decision making. So that was also being provided, which is not a scenario in the regular department that they are working, because they are supposed to come and perform their task and do it as per the regular work conditions. But in the experiment room, these different changes in the work conditions, the focus on their health conditions, the focus on their expression of views and their opinion was being taken. These were the kind of changes that were being made during this experiment. And after a year, the rest periods and free meals were also removed. But when these kinds of benefits were removed from the experimental room, the total output went up. However, the individual or the hourly output of the group declined. The total output went up, the ultimate total output of the group went up, but the hourly output declined. But when these kinds of changes were again reinstated, free meals were provided and rest pauses were introduced again, then these kinds of hourly output also show certain kind of rise in the output. So basically, we could say with these changes, with these kinds of variations in the working conditions, which was different from the regular work conditions, the surprising finding was that the assemblers' productivity tended to generally increase no matter what changes in the working conditions were introduced. So working conditions were different, and they were being introduced and reinstated and removed in different passages of time of this experiment. However, despite of whatever changes were being made, the general output was rising. This was a surprising conclusion for the people who were conducting the experiment, and they consider it as not so satisfactory finding, because in this way they were unable to understand that whether it is the change in the working conditions, or is it because they had an opportunity to earn more. Because that is, we could say, generally we understand that when a person has an opportunity to earn more incentives or higher wages, they are motivated to work. So it was very difficult for them to understand and identify the real reason, that whether it is the work conditions who have changed the positivity in the direction of productivity, or is it the incentive opportunity that the people had got, which was in addition to their regular salaries because of the group plan. So these were certain kind of conclusions of this relay assembly room test experiment. So the researchers were not able to make the conclusion with conviction that is it the wage incentive system that had made the difference and impacted the productivity of the workers, or is it the changes in the work conditions that have impacted the productivity. To overcome these kinds of flaws and these kinds of limitations of test room results, basically the team of Pennock and Hebager, they found it unusual and they went to Claire E. Turner, who was a MIT professor of biology and public health and professional advice. Basically, he established certain viewpoints about this kind of result, and he said that because people are working in a small group, maybe they have a friendlier environment, they have an opportunity of increased earning, and the attention that they are receiving during this phase of experiment are all certain factors which are important. But none of the reasons could be said with full confidence that this is the reason that is impacting the productivity of the worker. In short, we could say the test room supervision was more thoughtful and less authoritarian, unlike their regular department supervision, and that could possibly have provided them a stress-free environment to work, which led them to increase their productivity. But because of these suggestions which were being made by Turner, the concept of human diseconomies, for example, the fatigue, health habits, and the mental attitude, they were explored, and the potential explanation for the assemblers' enhanced productivity. But these are the surprising conclusions, and the team decided to conduct another experiment, namely the relay assembly room test 2. So that is why these two tests and experiments are aligned together, because we could say that one experiment, which is this one that we have just discussed, relay assembly test room, is a observation of changes in the working patterns of the people while making changes in the working conditions, while room 2 test was designed for the purpose to gain certain empirical evidences to check that whether is it the wages that is making impact, or is it these psychological factors that had affected the productivity of the people. Now let us summarize in this video that what we have learned so far, that the illumination study was designed to understand that whether the lighting variation will affect the productivity of worker or not. The workplace changes related to the infrastructure support, let us say the lighting in which the people are working, whether if that is not intact, will it going to affect the performance of the people? The result shows that no matter what the variation in the lighting were being made, the results output were positive. And the second set of experiment, that was the relay assembly test room, it also showed some positive results related to the changes of the work conditions and the results in the higher productivity. Now these two set of experiments were conducted, but still the researchers were not very sure to conclude that the psychological and the social factors are responsible enough to understand the impact of the work conditions on the workers' performance. And that is why the further set of experiments were also conducted and the results were also included in the Hawthorne studies. Thank you.